Life Coaching Focus, Confrontational Tolerance. Confrontational tolerance refers specifically to the ability, a willingness, or the intention to elevate a positive tension in the relationship. Now, one way to put it is, how many times can you be told no before blowing a fuse? So raising your ability to handle rejection builds confrontational tolerance. However, most people suffer from their fear of rejection. If your tendency is to avoid challenging conversations, you're not alone. Frequently, the cause of such avoidance is either lack of skills or an aversion to conflict and confrontation. If you have poor communication skills, you will frequently experience rejection. So this makes future communications uncomfortable. Human beings engage in a variety of unique strategies to address or avoid confrontation and conflict, mostly to avoid confrontation. So let's start with what not to do. Now, do you ever have any of these 7 common ineffective behaviors? Avoid situations by dodging encounters with someone you're having a problem with. Hold back, saying what's really on your mind, or say yes when you really just mean to say no, just to keep the peace. So use sarcasm or jokes instead of taking an issue seriously enough to get to the bottom of it. You cut off people or change the subject when a conversation doesn't go in the direction that you'd like. Become defensive and redirect the conversation towards what's wrong with someone, their stance in their style in dealing with an issue. Use sweeping generalizations or hurl personal insults in an attempt to get your point across or make another person wrong. Example, you always, or you never. Well, be unwilling to look critically at your own position or your behavior and how it's impacting the situation. There are 6 tips for effective communications. So switch to these constructive approaches instead. Number 1, determine exactly what you are addressing, that the nature, the severity of the issue will become, in part, how the conversation to be framed and how it unfolds. Number 2, know your purpose for having the conversation, what you desire in terms of an outcome. Stay focused on and the true purpose of the conversation. 3, choose the right time and place. Don't just stay in your own corner hoping that the issue will somehow magically disappear. Maintain a positive environment and direct that energy towards a useful purpose. Number 5, strive for mutual understanding with heightened awareness. Don't presume that you know what someone else thinks or how they feel in a given situation. Number 6, separate evidence from interpretation. Getting to the core of an issue by separating fact from perception early on during a conversation will result in a more successful, not to mention shorter dialogue. Build confrontational tolerance for improved outcomes. Becoming comfortable with having a difficult conversation is not an event, but it's rather a process. The first step to building confrontational tolerance is simply to reflect on how you typically respond under trying circumstances and evaluate your own level of effectiveness. The second step might involve asking for feedback from people that you trust about how they view your ability to handle challenging or stressful situations. And the final step is practice, practice, practice. In closing this topic, it is worth mentioning that the top successful 10% of people mostly have improved their confrontational tolerance. It is a skill, so learn it and avoid a life of mediocrity instead of avoiding a life with your confrontations. It's your choice. Yours in life, Doc Mike.